Wababa. Guys, where are you guys flying to? Siugawa Mido. You don't again enda? Anyway. So yeah. I don't even know what I was saying. Guy, memories. Welcome to another episode of In All Honesty. You know my fabulous name is Olive Orawo, yeah. And this is season 2, and this is the first episode. Nilikuwa nimepangia hii episode, ilikuwa rebrand, relaunch, yani, what is life though? But you can see some of the New Year's investments that I have made. Oh, ilikuwa to introduction. I was saying the way I had pangad for this season too, but life is just life. And I was to have a kagal on this episode, a beautiful girl, to talk about wababa. Vitu mnafanyia wasichana huku nje. Msichana aliamka tu siku moja akanitumia voice note kwa WhatsApp. And she told me, Mimi, sijui kama ni mimi. But she explained it and I was just like, it has happened to me. It has happened to a girlfriend of mine I know. And then the very same week, it's like energies. A girl on DM, a girl on Insta DM'd me with the same complaint. Waba. Anyway, that's next week's episode. So you better watch out for it because we must call out the patriarchy. Muna behave, aje? Anyway, welcome to this episode. And in this episode, because it's just pretty new and introductory to this season, I just want to talk about something that's very close to my heart. Something that I think I have struggled with. If you've looked through my episodes by now, you know I just talk about a lot of personal experiences, and later on I get to realize when I'm interacting with you guys, I get to realize that it's actually experiences that you also experience. So I'm really, really happy and glad that you are interacting with my content. I'm happy that you actually relate, because it's not just interaction. It's really beautiful to actually know and learn that people are going through the same things as you. It helps a little bit to boost your energy to just try and get through that cloud, because the silver lining is pretty close. So in this episode, I just want to talk about entitlement and owning entitlement. So what is it called? This episode, no, not this episode. Now, there's people have been hanging around, mostly lastborns. Lastborns ni watu ambao hawaambiliki, hawapangwingwi. So hanging around lastborns, I realized lastborns are very entitled and they are very confident in their entitlement. And that is something that at times might border annoyance. Like you will just be like, kama ukoike nini sukai pole pole. Lakini in real sense, it's something that I'd really like to own. Like I'd want to also one day niambie tu mtu mimi sifanyangi hivyo kwani kama ina inconvenience hiyo si shida yangu, you know. So I know that sounded insensitive, but I can explain, okay? So for lastborns, I realized that not for lastborns, I realized that owning who you are, owning things that come to you in the truth of it is very beautiful, and it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. Now, why I got inspired to do this episode is I was watching Sanaipe's CTA. You need to watch Cleaning the Airwaves. We uko kuna gems. So Sanaipe mentioned that things came to her. She didn't hustle. She didn't go for auditions. She didn't go and beg at radio. What are they called? Like media houses. Presenting on TV, presenting on radio came to her. Music was something she just like worked through, and it's not that when I grow up I want to be a musician, you know. Things came to her and she figured out things as she went, and I realized that's a very powerful thing to own. I realized then I was struggling with the idea of always fitting in, like never wanting to stand out. And it's honestly hard when you're the kind of person who stands out. And if anyone else is watching this podcast and experiences what I'm experiencing, please can you just hit me up and can we bond on this? Because I don't know how many people experience it. Are you the kind of person who stands out even when you're seated at the very back and there's nothing memorable about you? Because honestly, if I look at myself to date, nikijiangalia tu hivi, I can't see anything that is memorable about me. I don't wear bright colors. I never dress up. My hair, basically everyone who's known me knows this is how my hair looks all the damn time, if not completely untidy. And there's nothing I do physically to stand out. But in most rooms I have walked into, I am quite memorable. Most people I talk to will remember me. And this happened recently. Well, not recently, but time has flown. Where? Corona has been 2 years already. So when I was applying for a certain job and this employer was thorough, I had never worked with thorough employers, so I didn't know they'd call my referees. So I hadn't changed my referees for like 4 years. Me, I was just chilling, vibing, living my life. And he called my referee, who was the guy who used to give me like voiceover gigs when I was in Campo. He calls this guy, and this guy calls me back, and he's like, "Hi, Olive. So I've been called by someone who wants to hire you." First of all, I was completely just baffled that he remembered my name. Because this guy, do you know how many interns go through his hands for 4 years? This is a Gava institution. For once, hey, where? So this guy calls me. We haven't talked in like 4 years. He calls me and he's like, "There's an employer who has called me. He wants to employ you. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy that things are working out for you. I'm happy. I hope you get the job." And I was like, thank you, Mr. Onyango, thank you. But I was like, I didn't think you'd remember me. I completely forgot to change that referee. I'm just like, anywho, yes. So it's that kind of memorable where people do not forget you. Even like if you walk into a room, someone found me somewhere and invited me to their concert. And I told them I'll show up. And I'm very big on promises. If I promise you something, I will keep my promise. That's why I don't just promise people things. So if I promise, I'll be there. So I said I'll be there, and he was like, "Okay, you promised? I promise." And I showed up, and he remembered my name, and I was like, "Why aren't you just selling concert tickets?" In my head, I honestly thought he was just selling concert tickets and wouldn't remember the people he was selling them to. So it's that kind of memorable. Like, you walk into a room, you haven't said anything, but when you leave, people will remember. What was the name of that girl? And I don't know whether it's genetics. Mimi sijui. But I feel like that feeds into what we're talking about today, where a lot of things, just like Sanaipe, there are things that have come to me. And I remember after I had finished Campo, a lot of my classmates would call me and just ask me, "So Olive, how are you bagging these gigs? So where are you getting the money? Where?" It's funny that they thought I had money because I was struggling. I was struggling mentally. Not just mentally, financially, not physically, at least that I'm glad for. I was struggling, and they thought I was doing better than them, and they'd just call me and be like, "How did you get this?" And I would feel so guilty and so bad telling them that I don't know. Someone, like, for the first 2 jobs that I got in Nairobi, I was referred to by a girl called Sharon Muhambe, beautiful soul, love that girl. And me, I just went and they were impressed and I got the job, right? So I don't know how to explain that. Even I am not a pro. Even I'm just from campus. Even I don't know how to write CVs or how to write letters. I honestly do not know sikunyimi information. And I think we also just I also just wanted to come to the point where I'll be like, I can talk about things about myself without feeling embarrassed, without feeling like there is someone else who might not have it as good as me. So you're always feeling guilty for other people. And I think lastborns have just mastered the art of just not caring. They're just like, "Oh, you're sick, me, I'm healthy." It doesn't change. Them saying, "I'm okay, even me, I'm feeling a little sick," does not change how sick you are. You get. So I think just being able to own things, like there's this girl that I hang out with sometimes, and she's very confident in the things that she wants and things she doesn't want, because most of the time she's just like, me, I didn't grow up with them. As we didn't grow up taking matatus, so I'm not gonna take a matatu. I'm not used to it. And she's very confident about it, but ingekuwa mimi, of course ningeskia kakabaridi. Of course I'd want to like be okay, we can take matatus even if I don't want. Like, you should know how long it took me for me to tell people me sipendi bikes. I honestly do not like bikes, especially in Nairobi. I can use bikes in Kisumu because like it's a major means of transport. Bikes are bigger than cars there. But in Nairobi, mimi sitaki kugwara no, like gari ya kila mtu imegwara itakupea tetanus. But anywho, just trying to dim your lights so that other people around you can feel comfortable. I think that's something that I'm trying to work on so that I can just be me. And I also feel like you need to have friends around you who won't feel offended if there's something that you're doing that they're not doing, or if there's something that you have better than them, or if there's something that you have that they don't have. Like, I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So maybe could it also be the circles I was keeping where I felt like just having to say that I have something that someone else doesn't have would make me feel a little bit more like I'm bragging, like when you're insensitive towards other people. But you should have people around you who are very secure, who are kama hana, kama uko nayo, If you don't do it, you don't do it. If they do it, then that's fine. If they were raised with it, that's fine. If you were not raised with it, that's fine. So I think that idea, it's like I'm trying to bring it from so far away, but basically what I'm trying to say is be confident in who you are, be confident in the places you've come from. And I've seen this idea of people saying there are things you don't need to apologize for. And one of them, I think, was where you've come from, your family, where you've come from, how you were raised. Those were things that were outside your will to change. You couldn't have. And therefore you can't apologize for that. And I found myself apologizing a lot for who I was, for how I was raised, for just being me, for having a mom and having a dad who raised me in a certain way. And I think that is why I'm so exhausted about apologizing or trying to look like I can speak Kiswahili. Bitch, Kiswahili is hard. It wasn't spoken in our family. It was rarely spoken in our family. There was a lot of emphasis in school and at home to speak English. And therefore, English is very, very, I'm fluent in English. With English, I don't struggle. With Kiswahili, I have to form sentences in my head and then try and translate them to whatever language. So just owning who you are and not apologizing for it, I think it's a big step. And with that said, there is also the idea of not attaching everything to struggle. I think we have glorified struggle so much. Everything we do, we just can't say ati things came to me. And it's not ati things came to you because God Papa. I understand there are people who actually have God Papas. And if things have come to you like that, because, have you seen those memes for the first step towards being a millionaire is to be a millionaire's child, right? So I understand that. There's a way the world works. There's a way, if you have a God Papa, if you have opportunities, if you have family that can make opportunities for you, that is really good. I personally like my things not to be attached, to not have strings to other people. I would really like things to come to me from merit. And those things that come by merit have come to me. Sometimes I don't have to. It's not always that I'm struggling, I'm hustling and for these things to come. Sometimes mtu alikatu mahali akakumbuka kuna dem mwingine anaandikaga poems. Akatuma, akanicall. And that's a very good example, by the way, because at that time I was just chilling in my house and then someone called me and was like, there's a school in Dadaab, right? The refugee camp. Yes, the dub. There's a school there, and the teacher wants poems that they'll present. And I was given 5 Gs for composing a poem and sending to the teacher. Like, and then when people ask me now, how are you getting these gigs? How are you doing? I don't know. I'm very experimental. There are things I'm doing in my life. I touch this, I touch that. I don't know where these people remember me from, but sometimes there are things that don't come. There are things that come to me and I haven't hustled for them, and it's okay. And I felt like a lot of people feel like we've glorified the idea of struggle. So a lot of people feel like everything I do must be attached to a struggle story. So if I made it out big, what story am I attaching it to? And it doesn't have to be like that. Some things can come to you and it's okay. I remember this girl in radio one time. I asked her, how did you get this gig in radio? Because it seems like it's really hard to engineer this industry. And she was just like, it was luck. And then she walked away. I was so mad at that girl for months. I was just like, where is Nini at the luck? But in real sense, I look back now and I realize that's something she couldn't explain. It's true. Maybe she tried radio once, like Sunday Bay tried, and someone saw her, a mentor who liked her, and they took her up and mentored and got into the system. So there's not always a story behind something. Sometimes things happen, and let people enjoy those things, okay? And your thing could be different from someone else's. That's also something I realized, because sometimes we compare. You can even be very best friends with someone, even your own sister, but you won't get the same opportunities. You won't find the same opportunities. People tell me, why aren't your sisters in such, what is this industry I'm in called? These spaces that I'm in, where there's podcasting, there's what. I'm like, we're sisters. Yes, we were raised the same way, but interests differ, talents differ. I don't know if my sisters sound like this. I don't know if they would also sound really, really dope and sexy on a podcast. I really do not know. But it's different for everyone. And it's okay to embrace not having things you basically just had. There doesn't have to be a story behind it. And that's something I'm working on, and I hope to stop slouching and stop trying to belittle myself so that I fit when people are not up there. I just want to be, me and vibes. And I think there's a lot behind it, because I'm thinking also the culture we have as Africans. Like, let's say you are in a place where you're earning 50 Gs and your peers are earning 20 Gs. I think there's the African context where people just feel like the one earning more should be the one who's contributing to things. The one earning more should be the one who's sending us money. The one earning more should be the one who's like buying drinks. And I understand where that comes from, where people feel the need to pretend when they have. But I also think we need to move into a space where you'll just be confident and be like, I have the money, but I'm not paying for your shit, or I have the money, but I'm not doing that. Yes, I'm earning, but I'm not paying black tax. I want us to move to that space where you can be independent and just be firm, even if you have the ability to. People shouldn't be entitled to what is yours. You'll get cast. Of course, people will tell you don't decide here now. Later on, they will say, can we also just stop that? If right now I have 20,000 and I go eat all of it, and next week I don't have and you have, don't come back and tell me when you had the money, you squandered it. And can we just let people be? Regret has never helped anyone. If you go through a bad experience, it's a lesson and it's okay. So don't panga life for people. Let people be happy for people. And if you are the sort of person who just tends to stand out, can you please hit me up and let's see if this is genetics or something? Because I honestly do not understand. I have nothing memorable about me, but I find it very difficult for people to forget me. Anywho, next week we have a Leila Kare on the podcast talking about the patriarchy, because enyewe baba mumetufanya vitu. But anyway, wacha nieke yo asira nirudi nayo next week. I love you, but I gotta leave you. This has been beautiful to hear from you again. And my fabulous name is Oliver Rao. This is In All Honesty. Bye.